Imagine being the biggest star in the world, only to have the media and the people around you turn against you. Michael Jackson was on top of the music world, but behind the scenes, a much darker story was unfolding, one that involved betrayal, conspiracies, and some believe an intentional plan to destroy him. Was Michael Jackson's downfall simply a result of fame, or was there something much more sinister going on? Today, we're diving deep into the mystery surrounding Michael Jackson's final years. You won't believe what we found out. Michael Jackson wasn't just any pop star. He was the biggest artist in history. He broke records nobody thought could be broken, won more awards than anyone, and changed the music world forever. But with his incredible success came a lot of problems. The media started to focus more on his personal life than his music, and in 2002, Jackson himself said that there was a plan to ruin him after he became bigger than music legends like Elvis Presley and the Beatles. Even comedian Cat Williams said that Jackson's death wasn't an accident, but something planned by powerful people. So, what was really going on behind the scenes of Jackson's life, and why did everything turn so dark for him? Let's dive in. The rise of a legend. Michael Jackson became a superstar at a very young age. His talent, dancing, and music were unlike anything the world had ever seen. From his early years in the Jackson 5 to his solo career, Michael was always at the top. His albums like Thriller, Bad, and Dangerous broke records left and right. By the time the 2000s rolled around, Jackson was known as the biggest artist ever. He had done what few thought was possible. But as his fame grew, so did the negative attention. People started focusing on his personal life instead of his music. His changing appearance, his relationships, and even his love for children were constantly talked about in the media. Rumors spread quickly, and before long, the media labeled him as a freak and weirdo. This is where things started to go wrong for Michael. The betrayal. In 2002, during a speech in Harlem, New York, Jackson openly said that there was a plot against him. He believed that the music industry and the media were working together to bring him down. He talked about how, after he broke records set by Elvis and the Beatles, the world seemed to turn against him.
The minute I started breaking the all-time record in record sales, I broke Elvis's records, I broke Beatles' records. The minute it became the all-time best-selling albums in history in the Guinness Book of World Records, overnight, they called me a freak, they called me a homosexual, they called me a child molester. They said I tried to bleach my skin. They made everything to turn the public against me. This was all complete conspiracy. You have to know that.
Jackson also talked about racism in the music industry, pointing out how black artists were often treated unfairly.
The tradition of great performers from Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown to Jackie Wilson to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. The story is usually the same though. You know, these guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad. And the story is very sad in the end because the companies take advantage of them. They really do. So I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know.
Was the media targeting Michael Jackson because he was too powerful, too successful? It wasn't just about his music anymore. Michael Jackson had become a symbol, a black artist who had outdone everyone before him. The media's role. The media played a huge role in changing how people saw Michael Jackson. At first, they praised his talent and his groundbreaking performances. But by the 1990s, the headlines about Jackson weren't about his music anymore. Instead, they focused on his appearance, his private life, and the many accusations against him. One of the worst moments came when Jackson was accused of child molestation in 1993 and again in 2005. These accusations made headlines all over the world. Even though Jackson was found not guilty in 2005, the damage to his reputation was already done. Many people influenced by the media believed the worst about him. Was this part of the conspiracy that Jackson had spoken about? Some fans and experts think that certain people were determined to destroy Jackson's career. After all, he was no longer just an artist. He was the most successful artist in history, breaking the records of those who had come before him. Was there a conspiracy? Jackson wasn't the only one who thought something more sinister was going on. Comedian Cat Williams, for example, believed that Jackson's death was no accident. He even suggested that the name of Jackson's final tour, This Is It, was a warning that something bad was about to happen.
Fact of the matter is, we watched this nigga get murdered right in front of our own motherfucking face. And the nigga knew it was finna happen. He told us, and we didn't know. Nigga named his last tour, This Is It. Niggas have never said this is it in a celebratory fashion. Let me just say, first they told us this nigga was a drug addict. Then we found out this nigga's drug was sleep. They started this nigga's story off with coma. And they straight up killed that nigga. Killed him and gave us the most bullshit story we ever heard our entire life.
Williams pointed out that at first, the media tried to paint Jackson as a drug addict, but the truth came out that Jackson wasn't even awake when the fatal dose of drugs was given to him. He was simply sleeping. This raised a lot of questions. How could someone like Michael Jackson, with so many people around him, suddenly die like that? Was someone trying to get rid of him? Michael Jackson's final years. In his final years, Jackson wasn't in the public eye as much. After his history tour and the constant media attacks, Jackson started to live a more private life. But in 2009, he was preparing for a huge comeback with the This Is It tour. It was supposed to be the greatest comeback in music history, with fans excited to see him perform again. But on June 25th, 2009, just days before the tour was set to start, Jackson passed away. The official cause of death was cardiac arrest due to an overdose of propofol, a powerful anesthetic. His doctor, Conrad Murray, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, but many people, including Williams and some of Jackson's closest friends, believe that his death wasn't just a tragic accident. Some believe that the same people Jackson had spoken about in 2002 were behind his death, ensuring that his comeback never happened. Michael Jackson's life was one of incredible highs and heartbreaking lows. He broke every record, changed music forever, and touched the lives of millions. But with his fame came enemies, rumors, and controversy. Jackson believed there was a plot against him, and many of his fans and supporters think there's some truth to that. The media, the music industry, and powerful figures all seemed to turn against him when he reached the top. Even though Michael Jackson is no longer with us, his legacy lives on, his music continues to inspire people, and his story remains one of the most complex in pop culture history. The question remains, was his death simply a tragic ending to a troubled life, or was there something much darker at play?